Beep, 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 beep. Hello. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. I've been having a mull. Oh, there's always trouble when I'm having a mull. I got up this morning, right? I have a tendency to whistle, right? This is not something you hear. Years ago, men always whistled. You can hear it. There's a bloke around the corner. I know I can hear the whistle. There's a bloke coming around the corner. He's whistling. Warbling, utter nonsense, right? Men used to whistle all the time. Why don't men whistle anymore? Very few women whistle. You ever notice that? What's that about? The great gender divide on whistling. So I tend to whistle certain things when I'm in certain places and not know I'm doing it. So, for example, I'm in Asda with a mate, shopping, right? And I whistle. And my mate always says to me, he says, like, if we get lost in the aisles, he says, all I do is follow the whistle. Because when I'm in Asda, I whistle Jurassic Park. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Okay? So there I am amongst the deli, looking for me cheese and me sausages. So people know where I am. It's like some kind of beacon. Weirdo. See, I'm a weirdo. I told you I was a weirdo. So I get up this morning and I start whistling. And for the life of me, I didn't know what it was. So this is what I was whistling to myself. And I didn't realise I was doing it, which is half the problem. It's like a tick, right? And there I am going. And by the time I get to do my teeth, I'm suddenly, hang on a minute, you've been whistling. What are you whistling? Right? And I couldn't think what it was. And I was about to start filming, and I couldn't start filming, so I thought what it was driving me so mad. So I'm going around whistling this and whistling that, whistling, until I realised what I was whistling. Of all the obscure things to whistle, out of nowhere, the theme tune to Out of Africa with Meryl Streep and Robert Redford. Where did that come from? We know nothing of the human brain. Nothing. Right? And I was trying to work out where I got it from. It's because last night I was mulling about history, right? And somewhere in that history timeline that was going on in my head, Africa came up. Then I thought about Kenya, right? Out of Africa. I think that's what's caused it. We know nothing of the human brain. I'm absolutely out of control at this point. So, I was having a mull about history and narratives and stories, things, tales we tell, and, what those tales mean. And I was drawn to some of the stuff that we do with the Warrior Teachers, which is where we look at the change in culture, human culture. I think the session's called Humans, Selfish Bastards. Okay. So you've got, we're looking at what's in the past and building narratives and stories and that resonate and cause thought, right? So we start off with Charles Foster Kane. Now, for those of you who don't know who Charles Foster Kane is, it's because you've never seen Citizen Kane. Wildly held to be the best film ever made. Widely, not wildly. Widely held to be the best film ever made by Orson Welles. Rosebud. It's a good film if you haven't seen it. But it was about the danger of the pursuit of constant riches and the pursuit of constant power leading to isolation. That's what it was about. So that came out. But within a few years, we changed our minds and we had a stupid film called Xanadu. Do you remember that? With Olivia Newton-Bomb and that old bloke who tap dances, Gene Kelly. He was 90. And there's an insane scene where he's on roller skates going, Xanadu. Right, so it was, you can get to your Valhalla. Well, the irony being, of course, that the actual pit, the big huge pile of a mansion that Cain lived in was called Xanadu, in essence. In Xanadu did Kubla Khan a pleasure dome erect. All that stuff, right? Jump forward another decade or so, and we've got Fight Club. Nothing matters, it's all nihilistic. Why do men need quilts? Okay? And in between, you've got Wall Street with Gordon Gekko going, greed is good. Greed is good. So, talk about changing your minds. Over 5-6 decades, we can't make up our mind about anything. But yet, when we look back at that period post-war, bloody hell, what we've done. The NHS, the social net. We did that. You know what else we did? Invented the internet. Yep, took ourselves to the moon. We reached for the stars. built the best education system in the world, dealt with infant mortality, yet raised everybody's standard of living across the board, eliminated the abhorrent practices of landlords and business owners who didn't treat people fairly and squarely. We've done all that, all of it. And then I put on the TV yesterday, and there's some woman talking about how glad she'll be when the people that did that are dead. Right, are dead, because she's arguing that trans men are men, and trans women are women, and she's having a bit of a row with old Anne Widdecombe. And you think, these people are nuts. Not only nuts, they're selfish, self-centered, ungrateful swine. We used to do stuff like that, reach for the stars. What do we do now? Let's have assisted dying, because it's getting so awful. What's wrong with us? We've forgotten what we do. Meritocracy, intelligence, talent, and excellence. We've forgotten what we do, what we did, and did so well. What's it become now? Quotas, EDI, DIE. All cultures are equal. There's no such thing as morality. Blah, blah, it's only a personal opinion. That's what we've done. We've allowed lunatics in. And then this morning I get up. Not this morning. Was it this morning? No, it was a couple of days ago. Because I'm filming ahead. I've lost it. Right? Oxford Union. 75% of people at the Oxford Union debate said that they wouldn't have warned the authorities about the Hamas attack. 75%. Unbelievable. Bloke in Parliament stands up, Labour twat, and says, can we have a blasphemy law, please? Right? And attempts to link Islam and Christianity, everything together, and says, can we have a blasphemy law against these religions, these collective religions that he's talking about, the Abrahamic religions? Stood up in Parliament, that's fine. We've got, for women in Scotland, have just had a court case, right? And the judges at the end have gone, we'll let you know as soon as we can. We've been told it could be up to a year. I'm thinking it should have took 5 minutes. We don't seem to do anything anymore, except tinker around. What was this? What else came from the Labour Party the other day? Oh, we're going to stop people smoking. Okay, I don't care. Right? It's none of your business. Just sod off. Just go and do something else. Australia's banned social media for 16s and over. You know, we built the greatest civilization the world has ever seen, and we're giving it away. We're giving it away. We're giving it away to lunatics, to authoritarian lunatics. Under 16s can't get social media in Australia. How are they going to manage that, I wonder? Oh, gosh. Of course, everybody has to have a digital ID to prove their age. Is the trajectory of the country you are in our case, the UK, towards freedom of speech, expression, thought, all the stuff that comes with that, is that, are these truths self-evident to us in this country, or is the movement in the other direction? And I would say that right now we are absolutely hurtling in the other direction, in that we are going to end up giving power on such a scale to companies, corporates, employers, to the government, that we will rue the day that it ever happened, because it would take hundreds of years for us to get out of it. And they'll come at us with nice ideas like, yeah, we want to keep the kids off of this, and we want to keep the kids, don't fall for it. The name of the children, never fall for it. Child's first, the responsibility of the guardian and the parent is the child. So why have we given it all away? Do you have any idea? Because I'd like to know. Why are we giving it all away? And I think it's happening because we're still stuck in the left-right paradigm. Don't you think? There is no left and right. Forget it. It's a nonsense, left and right. What you've got is extremists on both ends. So when it comes to them coming together, which they do, because they all have the same ideas, once you get in the middle, the blob sort of joins, That's it, corporatism and big government. That's fascism, by the way. So it doesn't really matter which direction you come from. You're all going to the same place. So it's authoritarian versus freedom. That's the equation these days. Now, the problem is that the left, bless them, right? That the left are collectivists. Therefore, they have a tendency to be more authoritarian, because the authoritarian behaviour is done generally by the collective or the given body they produce, because they're all a bunch of bureaucrats and they end up with a bigger and bigger state. So it's the left that right now seem to be the big problem. If it was, 1930s Germany, we'd be going, right, get the right out, and so would I. But that doesn't seem to be the big problem right now. It seems to be the left. So there was an interesting thing that happened the other day. Do you remember Women's Place UK? I went to one of their meetings once. All the troons were outside bothering them and giving them a hard time. This is way back at the beginning. And Women's Place UK closed. They said, that's it, we're done. Which is brilliant, because they've done what they set out to do. And they've realised that they've finished and achieved what they wanted, and they have now closed. That's how you do it, by the way. If that's what Stonewall had done, we'd be all right. That's how you do it, right? Class. That's classy. Got what we wanted, we're done. Now, what I'm intrigued to see, because I was watching Jane Clare Jones, one of the first people I ever spoke to. Jane Clare Jones, doing her thing, right? Jane being Jane. And other people going, oh, this. I don't care about this. 2018 was a different world. We live in a state of constant punctuated equilibrium, and the sooner you get up to speed, the better. What's right now may not be right in 24 hours, and we have to be absolutely nimble and adept at understanding that. We do, right? And you've got to get used to the idea that you can change your mind. You've got to get used to the idea that you're going to get things wrong, and it's okay to get things wrong, because you cannot possibly remain static in a world in which the status quo no longer exists, because we live in a state of punctuated equilibrium. There is no status quo. Stop being so certain. It's shades of grey we need. That's what all warrior teachers learn that from day one. Day one. It's utterly fascinating to me that this is going on, what we're seeing. Because we've never, ever, ever, ever had to live with the capabilities to communicate like we can now. Never. But my God, it's exciting. We're watching the mainstream media absolutely panicking because we are now the media, because X is now the media, because citizen journalism is changing the world. And they stupidly thought social media was a distraction. They were absolutely wrong. We're now going to see a situation where an individual with enough followers can change minds. How are they going to deal with that? Right? That individual, like any other individual, me, you, anybody, will be responsible for and answerable to the law, like everybody else. Except that's different from what a company is answerable for, or a media organisation is answerable for. It really brings up some interesting questions about what happens when one person gets that much power. Isn't it? Don't you think? Excited. So the mainstream media is going nuts. What's really interesting is to see companies saying, we will no longer be having a presence on X because X no longer fits in with our values. The police are doing that. Now, my thinking is, I could be wrong. You can tell me, I'm more than happy to be wrong. My thinking is, they're getting rid of their social media departments. My thinking is they're going, right, okay, we've bitten off more we can chew here. Just tell them what we're doing. Stop getting involved. I think that's what they're doing. Now, I could be wrong about this, but I think that's what they're doing. And the other way you can do it is say, well, actually, we won't be posting on X. We'll be doing, what the hell does the police need other than a social media presence that says, today we arrested Mr. Pillock for tickling Mrs. Twazzock's what's-its, and he's going to jail for 5 years, right? What else do we need you for? Please help us find Philip. Please help us find Mary. That's what you should be there for. Not, today we had Pride Day and we had a gusset fumbler having his bum piece licked by a primary school student. I don't want to see that. Right? I don't want to see it. So they need to get out of the social business because that's not their job. Same goes for the schools. Get this shit out of your schools. Get it out now because we're done with it. Right? We're done with it. Even if the For Women Scotland case doesn't happen, Parliament's now going to come under enormous pressure to get rid of this nonsense. So, why are they doing it? Why are they leaving? Why are they making statements? We should be leaving X, and what are they going to go to? Blue Sky? Have you seen what's going on Blue Sky? They're having to employ so many people to deal with the perverts and nutters. I can't see the place lasting. But yet they're all over there going, I'm going to Blue Sky where the conversation is nicer. Fine, you go to Blue Sky where the conversation is nicer. I'm going to stay scrapping around in the gutter on Twitter because that's where I live. You swine, you gender adult grievance trouble, you bastard! Oi, loopy head, Fruit Loop, nut job. That's where I live. It's great. I love it. The scrapping. It's not what I'm like generally, for God's sake, but it's great fun. It's the marketplace of ideas. And the fact that they come on and they go, I'm leaving, I'm going on Blue Sky, and then they post what they posted on Blue Sky because they ain't getting any traction over there. Nobody gives a monkeys. They're all agreeing with each other. And then they go after each other when they can't find, somebody like me or you to go after. They go after each other. So Blue Sky's the crash. X is the real world. That's how I see it. It's like, get them out of the crash and into X. Let's get going. They'll all be back. They'll all be back. The likes of Alistair Campbell getting his bloody boxer shorts in a fumble because J.K. Rowling gave him a spanking in public. I mean, we didn't used to have this 10 years ago. It's glorious. Media has come so phenomenally far. So phenomenally far. And there's research coming out that's saying that young people love long-form interviews. They're craving information that is true. They're craving knowledge that expands your mind. They're craving depth. Because all the mainstream media give you is pablum. All they give you is just the surface crap. That's all they do. That's all they do. And now they're paying the price. Now is the time to recognise that people are hungry for information and for content that is educational, that makes you think, that opens the borders of your mind, as well as opening the possibilities in the world. We've forgotten that in our rush to equity, the flattening of the human experience to nothing. It's death. That's why flat line, equity. It's death on multiple levels. Multiple levels. Even the assisted suicide thing's a bit dodgy, isn't it? Don't you think? What should we do? Well, let's make it easy for everybody to die when they want to die, or when we think they should die, or when they've been coerced into dying, but at least we know that the ending's going to be the same. It's going to be controlled by the state. It's equity. Do you not get it yet? It is the application of sameness. That's what it is. Because you have to have the state organ involved. We don't need the state involved in this. Beth put something up the other day from LGBT Alliance about this. Isn't it a good idea to have it regulated? No, it's a terrible idea, right? Because 50 years ago, when my old grandmother popped her bloody clogs, they said, she ain't going to get any better. She's in a lot of pain. Do you want us to give her some morphine to ease the pain? She ain't coming back from it. Yeah, was the answer. Yeah, give her the morphine. Gone. Decided by the doctors and the family. We've been doing this for years, and we need the state to stay away from it. To stay away from it. As they should stay away from everything else. Remember, authoritarian versus freedom. The state cannot be anything but authoritarian, because once it gets to the point where our state has got to, it becomes a self-fulfilling bureaucracy that causes more problems than it solves. That means that, for example, HR departments can grow and add grievance and more grievance and more grievance. So their procedures become a machine that generates the grievance that causes the problems in the workplace. HR is an absolute shadow of what the government is. An interfering, unnecessary parent. Freedom versus authoritarian. What does that look like? I don't know. Let's just head towards it. Right? We're going to make mistakes along the way. But if we're nimble and agile and recognise punctuated equilibrium, we'll be all right. Just got to be nimble and agile. So I'm interested to see what Women's Place UK are going to do next. What are you going to do next? You're going to join us in a repeal of the GRA? You're going to join us in decrying the collectivism of the left? I'm intrigued to know. Because I really want to understand whether or not you're driven by the 20th century idea of a left and a right politically, or the 21st century idea of the march towards freedom, not authoritarianism. And these interesting questions are the sort of things that are going to occupy us. And that is wonderful. Along with the extraordinary media we have, it's time to enter a new phase. Because if we are going to fulfill the promise of the generation that built this bloody society post-war, we've got to get better at it. And to do that, we need to get rid of the authoritarian thinking that absolutely imbues these idiots with power. It's the only way to do it. Well, what we're going to do now is talk about how you should be with each other about race. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not doing it, okay? We're not doing it because you're nuts. It's time to call a spade a spade. Or am I wrong? I could be. All of this because I whistled out of Africa this morning. It's a strange world, and I'm a strange man. Goodbye.